What's something science still can't explain? Honestly, consciousness. Like, how does a bunch of electrical signals in our brain result in me? I'm sitting here right now experiencing reality, but science still can't really explain why I have this subjective experience. I was at a neuroscience lecture last week where the presenter straight up admitted we're not even close to understanding how matter becomes aware of itself. Blows my mind every time I think about it. The placebo effect. We know it works, but nobody can explain why it works. My aunt was in a clinical trial for arthritis meds and found out later she was given the placebo, but her pain actually improved by like 40%. The fact that your brain can literally heal your body just because you think you're taking medicine is wild to me. Our minds can literally change our physical reality, and science is like, yep, that happens, but can't tell us how. Ball lightning. My grandpa swore he saw it once during a thunderstorm in the 70s. Said a glowing orb about the size of a basketball floated through their living room window, hovered for like 10 seconds, then disappeared through the wall. Scientists know it exists, there's photos and everything, but still can't explain how it forms or why it behaves the way it does. Nature is weird, man. Why we sleep. We spend a third of our lives unconscious, and science still doesn't fully understand why. Like, they know bad things happen if we don't sleep. I tried pulling 3 all-nighters during finals week once and started hallucinating my textbooks were talking to me, but they can't explain exactly what sleep does that so essential. Is it for memory? Physical recovery? Brain maintenance? All we know is that without it, we literally die. Crazy that something so fundamental is still such a mystery. The origin of life. We have some decent theories about the chemical soup on early Earth, but nobody can recreate that spark that turned non-living chemicals into the first self-replicating organisms. I work in a biochem lab, and my professor always says this is the ultimate unsolved question. Like, what was that exact moment when chemistry became biology? We had this big lab accident last month that ruined our samples, and my colleague joked, well, at least we didn't accidentally create life, and honestly, we're nowhere close to that happening. Dark matter and dark energy. They make up like 95% of the universe, but we have absolutely no idea what they actually are. Just that they exist because galaxies move in ways that don't make sense otherwise. My astronomy professor described it as, we can see the shadow, but not what's casting it. Freaks me out that most of reality is completely invisible to us. I spent $300 on a telescope last year just to look at stuff that makes up only 5% of what's actually out there. Why cats purr when they're both happy and in pain? Like, my cat purrs when I'm petting her, but also when she hurt her paw last winter. The vet told me they think purring might have healing properties. The specific frequency might help with bone and tissue regeneration. But nobody really knows for sure. My cat started purring during a Zoom meeting last week, and my coworker was like, she's happy. And I'm thinking maybe she's regenerating her cells. Well, cats are weird little aliens. How bicycles work. No, seriously. The physics of how bikes stay upright is surprisingly complicated and not fully understood. We've been riding bikes for over 100 years, but only recently realized our explanations were wrong. I crashed my bike spectacularly last summer trying to ride with no hands down a hill, and afterward looked up the physics out of curiosity. Turns out the gyroscopic effect of the wheels isn't the main thing keeping bikes stable. It's this complex interaction between steering geometry, mass distribution, and forward momentum that scientists still debate about. Why ice is slippery? Sounds simple, but it's not. I went down hard on some ice outside my apartment in January, and while I was laying there in pain, I remembered reading that scientists still debate exactly why ice is slippery. The old explanation that pressure from your weight melts the top layer doesn't fully hold up. Now they think it's some weird quantum effect creating a liquid-like layer on the surface, even at temperatures well below freezing. Something so everyday that we all experience but still not completely figured out. How general anesthesia works. We've been knocking people unconscious for surgery for over 150 years, but doctors still don't fully understand the mechanism. When I had my gallbladder out last month, I asked the anesthesiologist how the drugs would make me unconscious. He straight up told me, we know they work, but not exactly why they work. Then I woke up an hour later with 4 less inches of organs. While that we don't understand something we do to millions of people every year. The full function of our DNA. We mapped the human genome like 20 years ago, but we still don't know what most of it does. Scientists used to call it junk DNA, but now they're realizing it's not junk at all, it's just that they don't understand it yet. My brother did one of those DNA testing kits for Christmas and got all excited about being 7% Scandinavian. And I'm sitting there thinking, bro, science doesn't even know what 90% of your DNA actually does. We're still total mysteries to ourselves. Why we yawn and why it's contagious. Just reading or thinking about yawning can make you yawn. Bet some of you are yawning right now. Well, I yawned 3 times just typing this. We know it happens, but not really why. My psych professor said it might be an empathy thing or some ancient social signaling mechanism, but nobody knows for sure. Last week, I accidentally set off a yawn chain reaction during a silent study session at the library. 5 people in a row, domino effect. The librarian gave me the death stare. The Pimba effect, how in some circumstances, hot water can freeze faster than cold water. Sound impossible, right? My chemistry teacher demonstrated it and blew our minds. There are several competing theories, but no consensus on why this happens. I tried to recreate it for a science project using water bottles in my freezer, but just ended up with a puddle on the kitchen floor when my roommate took them out to make space for pizza. Still, it's weird that something so simple as freezing water can defy our basic understanding of thermodynamics. Why we have different blood types and what evolutionary purpose they serve. I donate blood every 8 weeks, a negative, universal donor, and asked the phlebotomist about this last time. She said they really don't know why humans evolved different blood types or what advantage it gave us. Some theories about disease resistance, but nothing concrete. Think about it, we've got this critical system where putting the wrong type in you can literally kill you, but no explanation for why we developed these incompatibilities in the first place. The origin of our dreams. We know some brain activity patterns during dreams, but not why we have these specific, vivid experiences. Last night, I dreamed I was being chased by my high school math teacher who had turned into a giant talking calculator. Why? What evolutionary purpose does that serve? My therapist just nodded and wrote something down when I told her. Even with all our brain scanning tech and psychology research, we still don't really understand why our brains create these bizarre movies every night. How plants decide when to bloom. There's this wisteria vine at my grandma's house that's been there for decades, and every year it blooms at slightly different times. Scientists understand some triggers like day length and temperature, but there's clearly more complex decision-making happening. My botany professor calls it plant intelligence, though it's not consciousness like we understand it. I killed 3 houseplants last month, but somehow this ancient vine knows exactly when conditions are optimal without a brain. Why we have fingerprints. The common explanation is for grip, but that doesn't fully check out scientifically. I spilled coffee all over my forensics textbook in the campus library yesterday while reading about this. Some primates don't have them, and they grip just fine. There are even some people born without fingerprints. It's a rare genetic condition, and they don't seem to drop things more than the rest of us. For something we've used to identify people for over a century, we still can't fully explain why we evolved these unique patterns in the first place. The exact mechanism of migraines. As a chronic sufferer myself, it's frustrating that science still can't fully explain what causes them or how to prevent them reliably. I was at a neurology appointment last week, and my doctor admitted that despite all our advanced brain imaging technology, we still don't completely understand the cascade of events that causes the debilitating pain. Something about blood vessels and neural inflammation, but the specific trigger remains elusive. I've tried 17 different prevention methods and still ended up hiding under my desk during a physics lecture last month. How birds and animals navigate during migration. Some birds fly thousands of miles and return to the exact same nesting spot year after year. Scientists think it might be magnetoreception or star navigation, but aren't completely sure. My ornithology professor released a tagged warbler last fall, and it flew to South America and back to the same tree on campus this spring. Meanwhile, I still get lost driving in my hometown without GPS. The precision is mind-blowing, and we still don't fully understand how they do it. Déjà vu. That weird feeling that you've experienced something before when you know you haven't. Had the strongest déjà vu yesterday at the grocery store. Swear I'd had the exact same conversation with a cashier about avocados before. Scientists have theories about brain misfiring or memory processing errors, but no definitive explanation. It's such a universal human experience. Literally every person I've asked has experienced it, but we can't explain why our brains create this glitch in perception. One of those everyday mysteries that science is still working on.